Hello friends, this is Vivek and today I'm going to explain you something about Java. However, before that, let me introduce myself. I am a full stack developer and I have 8 years of experience working as a software developer. I have worked in JP Morgan for over 3 years as an application developer and now currently I am working in SAP as a senior developer for past couple of years. Some of the technologies which I have worked on for the past 8 years are Java, Spring, Hibernate, and Angular. Now, let me start by showing you the technology stack of a website or for an application. So whenever we talk about any application, maybe it's Android application or a website, it mainly has three different layers to it. The first layer is user interface. User interface is the layer where we interact with the website. You think about the most common websites like Facebook or Amazon.com. The layer that we see in our screen when we type the name or URL of the website is the UI. So the UI is basically developed in CSS, HTML, Bootstrap, then we have JavaScript, jQuery. This JavaScript is basically to provide a functionality or an event-to-end button or the UI validations. And then we have three different frameworks to manage the UI project. That is Angular, React, and Vue. And then we have business logic layer. This layer is mostly written in Java, C Sharp, Ruby, Python, Node.js, and things like that. So what do you mean by business logic layer? So whenever we press any button or we write some stuff in google.com and press the search button. The search button is handled by the business logic that is written in this layer. So this layer is responsible for all the processing of the data, getting the data from the database, further processing it, refining it, applying certain logic to it, and then sending it to the UI. So whenever we search for some product in Amazon.com, basically the business layer is something which handles our request, sends us all the products what we have entered. And then the third and most important layer is database. Database is typically the place where all the data which is stored. Whenever we perform a search in google.com, we get the data in our screen. So the data what we see in our screen, the URL or the link of the website comes from a database. The database can be of different type, mainly of RDBMS, RDBMS. It means relational databases. The relational databases are your Oracle, MySQL, HANA-DB, and then S2. And NoSQL database such as MongoDB. Uh, Now, these are the technology stack. And now I'm going to show you the technology stacks which I am familiar with and I have worked on for over the past few years. So in the UI, I have worked on CSS, HTML, Bootstrap, and JavaScript, jQuery, and this is a very common framework for managing the UI application, that is Angular. And in the business logic layer, I am mostly familiar with Java. Java also comes, there are different frameworks which use Java as a main language, like Spring, JPA, Hibernate. So we have a big, huge business logic layer, and there are a lot of frameworks which use Java as a programming language. Now, in the database layer, I have worked on Oracle, MySQL, and HANA. I have also worked on S2 DB and MongoDB for a few months. S2 is a um, in-memory DB, and then MongoDB is a NoSQL DB. The advantages of MongoDB over Oracle, or the advantages of Oracle over MongoDB, can be discussed. There are a lot of pros and cons of using each over other. Uh, However, this can take another session if we go into the detail. On the top level, uh, it is suffice to say that Oracle is used whenever we need to maintain, whenever we need to do the transactions, and MongoDB is required, or we use MongoDB at places where there are a lot of reports or the data which we need to show in the UI relatively quick. Now let's come to the overview of Java. So Java is one of the most important and widely used computer language. It is safe to say that it is not one of the most, but the most important and widely used computer languages today. And this year only, it has completed its 25th year of being in the industry. Now let's talk about the creation of Java, how Java was developed. So Java was developed by a small team which was led by James Gosling, and it was the year in 1991 when they have started the project. It took them somewhere around 18 months to develop the first version. However, it was in the year 1995 when Java was officially released. Fun fact, Java was originally named as Oak, but during the time of release, they finally changed the name to Java from Oak. Oak because Oak was a registered trademark of some other tech company. Now let's talk about the evolution of Java. Uh, Currently, what version we are having is Java 11, and it started with Java 1. So every couple of years, we see a Java version which gets released. However, not every version is equally important. Java 1.5 was a milestone during its time. It introduces a lot of the concept of generics and array list and things like that. And recently we have Java version 8, which we have seen that the functional programming was introduced, or the Lambda functions was introduced in Java. Now, let's talk about the application of Java. Java is very widely used. It is used in our mobile phones, which runs on Android, and then all the enterprise websites which are used across industries. So Java is a very common language, and it is used by almost by all the industries, enterprise applications, mobile applications, gadgets, and stuff like that. And what are the features of Java? So before we move on to the features of Java, I want to spend some time on understanding why Java was developed over C++ or C. Because when Java was developed, C or C++ was the predominant language during that time. So because of these features, we can say that Java is preferable over C or C++. So Java is much simpler to understand than these other two languages. The concept of the complex concepts like pointer and operator overloading loading have been removed from C++ and which are removed in Java and which were an integral part of C++. There's a concept called garbage collection, which is introduced in Java so that we don't have to clean our resources like we have to manually do in C or C++. Uh, then there is object oriented. In Java, we can design complex architectural solutions to the problem, which there is no to less capability in C or C++. And Java is a robust language because of the garbage collector and exceptional handling which comes inbuilt in Java. However, in C or C++, we had to write the garbage collection or the exception handling by ourselves. One of the most important feature of Java is platform independence. It is truly write once and run everywhere programming language. So the program developed in Java need not to be compiled to be used in Linux, Windows, or Mac OS. However, in C or C++, the programs needed to be compiled into platform-specific machines. And that was a huge burden that Java guaranteed to solve. This is more secure at a language level than the other previous languages. When we use secure, it needs to be understood at the level of language rather than getting it at application level. The concept of multi-threading is a very important and very powerful feature that was introduced in Java. So in Java, we can run multiple threads, or to understand in a better way, we can run multiple applications. So imagine we are doing a processing or we are reading a file, and in the meantime we can have a thread which will pick the data from the file and send it to a particular email address. So both these things can run parallelly on Java machine. With the introduction of Java 8, we can also do parallel programming in Java beside multi-threading. So these are the very powerful features that we have control in Java which were absent in C or C++.